I'm not defensive about it. Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another live stream and your daily Chelsea news update. As always, there is plenty to get stuck into, guys. As you can see, I'm joined by Pys. Bro, it's been a while. When I sent you the DM on Twitter, last time you'd been on, bro, was August 2023. So it's a year in the making, but we're back at it. Loads to get into, as always. Cole Palmer, new 2-year contract extension, not really, too unexpected. A bit of a pay rise for him as well, thoroughly deserved. And then all the latest news in regards to Joao Felix, Conor Gallagher, what's going on there? Gallagher set to fly back to London this evening because a breakthrough's been unable to be reached. George Mendes has been in London today trying to negotiate with Chelsea over a move for Felix, but seemingly so far there hasn't really been much of an update on that. Chelsea's pursuit of a striker. Could we go back in for Victor Osimhen? Not Victor Osimhen. Could we go in for Ivan Toney? Chelsea looking at potentially 4 different situations. Yeah, there's an awful lot going on. And Ben Chilwell reportedly not happy with how he's been used in pre-season either and could be considering his options. Bro, loads to get into. Welcome back. Great to have you as always, mate. Let's start with this Conor Gallagher stuff. What's the latest? Obviously, he's been in Spain since last Thursday. Everything's done. 5-year contract waiting to be signed. It's not been signed. And he could be coming back to London. Is that expected to happen?
Yeah, first of all, I didn't realise it had been that long. It's been a long time since I've been on here, considering we always, talk fairly regularly in the group chat. So, I mean, well done on everything you've done as well. Like 11,000 subscribers is pretty mad. You've grown a lot. So I'm really, really proud of you, bro. But yeah, in terms of Conor Gallagher, I think, to be honest with you, like the latest is just that he's in Spain. He's due to fly back tonight to London because Chelsea have officially requested him back. And I mean, the deal was supposed to go through with obviously the Samu deal. What happened with the Samu deal, who knows? Depends on what sources you believe. Some sources say he failed his medical. Some sources say Chelsea didn't want him and turned their attention to trying to sign Felix when George Mendes came into the equation. And then other sources say different things, there are contractual issues. And there was things that when Chelsea went through the paperwork, they were actually like, oh, no, we didn't agree on that, and tried to change things. Atletico are very annoyed with Chelsea. And, I mean, the latest is that apparently Chelsea now want Gallagher back in England. It's not an Atletico thing. Chelsea want that. And, I guess from my point of view, it's probably to put pressure on Atletico to sell us a player. Obviously, Felix is the one right now being discussed, as we know. But I don't know if it's going to work, to be honest, because Atletico are already annoyed with us. And at the end of the day, what's stopping them from turning around and going, you know what, we'll just get that Valencia midfielder that we wanted, or we'll go and get someone else, I think the way that we've treated Gallagher is poor. I think we've kind of, messed him about a lot. And, obviously the discussion of not even allowing him into the first team buildings and all this, even though we want him back, is kind of strange. I mean, I don't know why he just doesn't stay over there and Chelsea get their asses into gear and just get a deal over the line and stop messing him about. But yeah, that's the situation so far.
Yeah, bro, it's kind of a mad one, isn't it? Because obviously, Gallagher's accepted the move. It's a big change. It's a new country moving. I don't know if he's got a family or not, but it's a big change. And everything was seemingly done. But bro, why is it that we seem to have got ourselves in a situation again where we can't do a sale unless we buy a player from the club? Like, how have we managed to get ourselves into that situation? Because I wouldn't have thought that, there should be any links between these deals. Why have we got to buy someone from Atletico in order for them to sign Gallagher? Like, how have we found ourselves in that situation?
Yeah, I think it's all the I don't think we're in trouble with like FFP and all the PSR stuff, but I think just for accounting reasons, like we've kind of tried to go to some of our targets and then try to get someone going the other way as a sort of like, kind of like a swap, but like an unofficial swap. It's like 2 separate deals.
Like with Martin and Kellyman?
Yeah, you're seeing this a lot, to be fair, with other clubs as well. I've seen, links of other clubs trying to do the same thing. So, I mean, it's smart in a way, but with how we've acted during the window, it's like it's not gone the best, especially with this deal. And what I don't understand really is how the Alvarez deal went through and how that's official, but the Gallagher one isn't. Because if you think about it, like they needed to sell Samu to buy Alvarez, or at least use that money, right? So if they've used that Samu money on Alvarez and that's official, but we've pulled out of Samu, how have they paid for Alvarez and made that official? That's what I don't get, you know. So I don't I don't really understand that. They paid what, 90 million euros? Well, they got 40 million euros from us. So I highly doubt Atletico Madrid have just spent 90 million euros. They've surely used the Samu money, but then there is no Samu money because we're not buying him. So like, how is that? How is Alvarez made official? That's what I don't get.
Yeah, I mean, because the Gallagher one has been waiting to happen for ages. I mean, that was done long before, you know, the Alvarez situation even come into the equation. Obviously, I know they're not going to want to miss out on Alvarez. They'd obviously rather delay the Gallagher one or miss out on Gallagher compared to Alvarez. Of course, like we get that. Obviously, that completely makes sense. But yeah, the whole thing's just a mess, isn't it? Really, because we can't afford to be in a situation where we end up with Gallagher still at the football club come the close of the window. Now, if this Atletico thing does fall through, then, you know, does that mean that, you know, he would go to a Spurs? Like, do Chelsea let him back in? Do we give him, you know, offer him, does he sign the 2+1 and we try and do all this again in 12 months' time? I mean, let's throw it forward to a hypothetical, bro. Like, if this falls through, right, do you see him going somewhere else with such a short space of time left, or do you think he stays and he signs a 2+1 and we revisit this next summer?
Well, that's the thing as well. You don't know if Chelsea have a club behind the scenes that would be willing to come in if the Atletico deal didn't happen, and only the directors will know that. So, you know, maybe a Spurs, maybe a Villa's in the background, you know, looking to buy him. Maybe we have to sell him for, you know, 40 million pounds or something to a Spurs in the end, just to get him gone. But I don't know if I see a way where he stays though, because like we have got so many players in that position, and you know, even if we don't end up buying Felix, you know, you've still got a lot of players that can play centrally. Maybe Carney gets sold and Gallagher ends up staying, but it's hard to predict. I mean, there was rumours from the Athletic that he was considering signing that 2+1 year deal. So maybe after all this, he ends up staying and he gets sold next summer instead. I don't know, man. I don't know. But you'd think if that was the case, then Chelsea would at least allow him into the first team building if they had some inclination that he might extend.
Oh yeah, bro. If he comes back and he signs that 2+1, he has to be training with the first team and stuff. You can't sign a 2+1 and then bin him off with the development squad.
I meant more like if they had any inclination he was going to do that in the first.
Oh right, yeah.
Why, you know what I mean? So like, if he comes back and they put him straight in the under-21s, you know, that sets a bad. I feel like that sets a bad sort of like precedent. I don't think he'd want to sign a new deal if we're doing this to him, you know. So that's the whole thing. It's the same with Chalobah. It's like, well, why would he want to stay? You know, if Chelsea are doing this to him, freezing him out. But that's what they're trying to do because they want to sell them. So at Chelsea's point of view, they're trying to make players, as hard as it is, they're trying to make players feel as shit as possible, basically, and want to leave because they're like, okay, right, Chalobah's hard to get out. Gallagher's being hard to get out. Let's freeze them out. Let's get this pure profit. Let's make them feel as shit as possible, and let's basically try and force them out and make them want to move. And I wouldn't be surprised if the same ends up happening with Chilwell. Sterling's a bit of a different one. I feel like Chelsea could do that, but at the end of the day, they're so limited. I don't know a club that would pay his wages, honestly.
Bro, no one's paying it. No one's paying it. So
I think the Sterling one is one where we're stuck with Sterling, unfortunately.
Well, for one more season, because if we go next summer, it's 2 years left on the deal. He won't be offered a new one, and they'll definitely try and shift him on. But yeah, I mean, it'd just be so Chelsea, wouldn't it, for us to go through all of this, and then Gallagher just ends up staying. You know, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I think they definitely want a resolution to this problem. But how long do you think that they're going to carry on negotiating before, like, Atletico just pull the plug and walk away? Because what else is there left to talk about? like it must purely be the Felix stuff. That's it. Gallagher's literally waiting for Chelsea to either sign Felix or not. I guess that's literally what we're waiting for, basically, in order for his deal to go through.
Yeah, or another player. You know, I mean, I don't know who we'd go for, but you know, the talk is that we have to buy an Atletico player, some you know, of a similar value to Samu. So you're looking at £30 million plus, and if it's not Felix, who's it going to be? You know, like who are we going to sign from their squad? Who are they going to want to let go as well?
Exactly.
That's the thing. Atletico are not a team that will like to let go of their players as well. They're a bit like us. You know, they have their outcasts, and then you know the first team is, you know, they're pretty set with their first team. So I'm just, I don't know what to think. Like, in some way, like the fact that George Mendes is still in London after yesterday makes me feel like we will sign Felix, because it's like, okay, we're continuing on, we're still trying, and eventually we'll get there. Maybe that's why Gallagher's coming back. But at the end of the day, if Gallagher's coming back and it takes us, like, say we sign Felix on fucking Friday or Saturday, that's another few days wasted on outgoings as well. Because Fabrizio last night, I don't know when the night was that this all came out.
Oh, Sunday night when the Samu stuff fell through.
Sunday night, the way it was reported, I was like, I'm waking up to Felix. Here we go tomorrow morning. You know, like it seemed that like close.
It was moving fast, and then really in the next 2 days, nothing's changed.
Nothing, absolutely nothing. There's no news at all come out in the last 2 days, really.
But I reckon, like, if you know, if the Felix stuff was close, they wouldn't be calling Gallagher back. You know, if they were confident of reaching a breakthrough and say the next day or two, you would just keep him in Spain for another sort of 24, 48 hours. The fact we're calling him back, to me, would suggest that like a breakthrough in the Felix saga isn't actually that close, which is why we're bringing him back. Because it wouldn't make sense to bring him back if we were confident we could reach an agreement in, say, the next 24, 48 hours. But yeah, I mean, I don't really know where we go from here. But let's talk Felix, though. This was one what literally come out of the blue. I know, obviously, me and you have got different opinions on it. I think you obviously like him a lot more than I do. I don't dislike him as a player. I just don't understand where he fits in. I have an issue with us doing business, signing someone for potentially 40, 50 million pounds in order to facilitate a pure profit sale. Felix has been available all summer. You know, if we've needed to sign someone from Atletico, we had the opportunity and we chose to go with Omarodion over him. So, like, for me, I think I can't understand why now we suddenly think Felix might be a good idea. Like, I don't see where he fits in. Yeah, he's a gifted footballer. Yeah, he's good on the eye. But in terms of, you know, end product is not great. He doesn't put up the best numbers. Never really has in his career since he left Benfica. Where's he going to play for Chelsea? There'll be minutes somewhere for him, but I mean, I don't think he's better than Nkunku, for example. I don't see him as a winger in a Maresca system, because I don't look at him as an old school sort of chalk on the boots touchline winger. For me, he's not got a physical profile to play as a 9. So, mate, what are your thoughts when you heard the Felix news? And, like, genuinely, how would you potentially see him fitting in?
Obviously, it's no secret, I'm probably like his biggest fan on Twitter. Like, I love the guy as a player. And you know, maybe I am an aesthetics merchant, but honestly, like I loved watching him when he was here. It was so exciting to watch. He brought a breath of fresh air back to Chelsea, I think. But you know, I know his weaknesses as well. You know, sometimes he's too selfish. His goal output is not the best. But for me, what's more exciting is that the other players in our squad, he doesn't kind of have to be that main man. So I see the fact that you have Nkunku, you have Neto, you have Palmer, you have Jackson, and I think with the footballer he is, I really struggle to imagine how that doesn't all click into like this, you know, beautiful sequence when they play. The harder thing is actually fitting him in as a starter, and that's where I think he may not be a starter. But I also feel like Chelsea, and you know, something I've been told before as well, they're very like, after last season's injuries, they're being very like ambitious in terms of like they want squad depth. They don't want a situation where an Nkunku gets injured and then there's no one else really to bring in. That's why they signed Dewsbury Hall. That's why maybe we sign Joao Felix, because he can. I can imagine him playing in that like role Nkunku's been playing. It's kind of like an advanced 10/8 type role, sort of between, you know, left hand side. I think that's perfect for him. And I mean, even out wide, you've seen the wingers. Chelsea fans were saying, well, Palmer's not going to be a touchline right winger. He's not going to play there. Where did he play against Inter Milan? He played on the right,
He did play on the right. Yeah.
But what you saw was that he wasn't actually a touchline winger.
No, he drifted in.
Yeah, Gusto pushed up, and Maresca allowed Palmer to come in, a bit centrally and drift in.
Do you reckon he'd allow two players to do that? If Palmer and Felix started in the same team, like surely Palmer would have to start centrally or something. Because I don't think he'd want two players drifted in from either side, if that makes sense. Because we're not going to have the overlap or the push on from each fullback, if that makes sense. But I mean, bro, what do you reckon Maresca's thoughts are on this? Because we know it's well documented that Pochettino didn't want Felix. Do we have any idea how Maresca feels about this deal? Because surely we wouldn't be in potential talks over it if Maresca hadn't given it a green light. I mean, do you have any idea or know anything about what Maresca's thoughts might be on Felix?
No, I don't. And I think this is, something he said is like, I don't, I think he said something about he'd give his green light to all the signings or whatever. Like, I wouldn't accept someone that doesn't fit into the team. But this does feel like a last minute, desperate push to get someone and get Gallagher gone. It really does that. It does feel like, even though I like Felix, it's like it's a George Mendes thing at the end of the day. I think he's come in and like Ed Barley's probably been like, oh, actually, yeah, you know what? I quite like Felix here. Yeah, let's do it. Let's try and do it, sort of thing. It does seem as simple as that. I don't think the sporting directors would have signed Felix.
They wouldn't have done.
Yeah, I think it's an Egg Barley thing, and it's he's the owner. I'm going to get this player because I quite like this. I quite like the fact that Mendes is, got a good relationship with us. He'll help us buy a Portuguese club, I'm sure. When we want that. So it's all about relationships.
He's a powerful guy in football. There's no denying that. But you see it once you sort of get into bed with him and stuff. Like, you're very much locked in, and you might find yourselves in a situation where you might have to take some of his clients when you don't really want him. And I just feel like, I mean, this could be like being a little bit cynical and a bit maybe not conspiracy, but do you get what I mean, bro? It could be like it almost feels like too much of a coincidence that Pedro Neto, who's represented by Jorge Mendes, is unveiled at Chelsea on Sunday. Jorge Mendes is in the country. They're trying to move on Joao Felix. Suddenly the Omorodion deal falls through, and then within 10 minutes later, like, it's reported that we're then suddenly in conversations over a potential move for Felix. All that series of events seems to me like that's too much of a coincidence for it of just to have happened like that. I reckon, I don't know, I reckon it's been planned. I reckon with the Samu thing, I honestly feel that like Chelsea used a small little thing as an excuse to back out of the deal. I mean, bro, where do you stand on that Samu thing and kind of the series of events that suddenly led us to Felix?
Yeah, like, as I said, even as a Felix fan, I do think this is a George Mendes thing. I do feel like Chelsea just, I don't know, probably pulled out of Samu and decided to go for Felix, which probably annoyed Atletico because at the end of the day, like, we go for Felix in the first place.
Yeah.
So, like, but, I think I was listening to someone yesterday and they did, put across a decent theory where because Samu was at, the Olympic Games and stuff like that, obviously Chelsea couldn't do his medical right away. And perhaps when the contracts were being drawn up, Atletico weren't fully cooperative and like they weren't fully sort of, what's the word? They didn't let us know about something like in terms of the injury or an underlying issue.
Well, because he didn't play. He didn't play in the Olympic final. Like, no, I think there was a small issue, but surely Chelsea would have been aware of that. They would have been aware of these things. Surely.
I don't know. I mean, it's only until you perhaps do the medical that you find these things out sometimes. And perhaps when Chelsea were doing that, they were like, "Oh, that's flagged up," and Atletico never let us know about this. Perhaps there was something long term that Atletico never let us know about it, and then that's why Chelsea went into the contract and tried to change things. Perhaps that was the case, and Atletico didn't like that and were like, "Oh no, it's fine," and then Chelsea kind of went, "Well, no, it's not. Like, look, we've found this. You either change it or it's not happening," sort of thing. So that's probably theory number two. That Atletico weren't fully open with us on whatever Samu has in terms of a potential underlying injury. I saw something about an ankle problem. I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure. It's very hard to know, but I think it's either one of those two things, to be honest.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, just to round out the little Felix segment, bro. How do you see this going? Because apparently now, the like I've seen things this morning or today, sorry, saying that the two deals are now independent of each other in terms of Felix and Gallagher. So, I mean, do you think, as things stand right now, do you see the Felix deal going through?
So hard to say. It's not hard to get me into doubt, to be honest, on a transfer, and then it just all happens. So
Yeah,
I mean, right now I'd say no, but I do like the fact that Mendes is still seemingly working on it. I just don't see a way where, again, like because I do think this is a Mendes thing, and we've kind of given him our go ahead sort of thing. I feel like it does get done at some point.
yeah, I think it would. I think it will as well. I think Chelsea are so desperate for that pure profit sale with Gallagher, they'll find a way of doing it. And I think the longer this goes on towards the end of the window, I suspect we'll probably end up coming to some sort of agreement where Felix comes for the same price as what Samu would have done, or a very similar one. Because I don't see how Chelsea could really fuck Gallagher over again. I think it would be really bad if Gallagher's move to Atletico falls through and it doesn't happen. I think within reason, we have to find a way to make this work. Although I am against making signings purely in order to facilitate a sale. We saw that with Kellyman. Felix wasn't even on was Felix on the radar at all this summer until literally Sunday night? Because there was no links to him whatsoever.
No links at all. Nothing.
Yeah, and this is my issue with it. And like loads of people, I was doing a show yesterday, and loads of people saying, "Oh, maybe we were doing something similar to what we've done with Neto." I was like, well, "No, we weren't," because he hadn't been mentioned. Felix's name had not been mentioned once this summer at all. Pochettino's been gone all summer long, and Felix has been available all summer, and we've not looked to make a move for him. And then when we were going to go and get a player from Atletico, we still didn't choose him. And now suddenly it's like, oh fuck, are we really that desperate for 33 million quid that we're potentially going to spend 40 or 50 million pounds on someone who, do we really want him? And do we really need him? I mean, it seems a bit of a strange way to do business, doesn't it?
Yeah, and as I said, that's why I think it's purely an agent thing. I'm sure Chelsea will come out if they sign Felix and make up a story that he was on our radar or something. But
he definitely, he was. Bro, Felix was far, far away from the radar.
Exactly.
This brother was nowhere near the radar.
Exactly. So it is a very strange one. It's a very strange. It's a strange sequence of events, is what I'd call it. I didn't expect Samu. I mean, the Samu collapsing thing was like, whoa, like that was
that come from nowhere. I mean, to be honest, because El Chiringuito is it's not a joke thing, but they're not the most serious, but sometimes they get shit right, and the fair play to them. They were spot on with that Samu stuff. They were the first ones on it. So yeah, it may I weren't expecting that either, but that kind of segues us nicely into the striker situation. Bro, what do we reckon is going to happen here? Telegraph Matt Law reporting yesterday, we're watching as many as potentially 4 situations to see if the right opportunity to sign a striker presents itself. Where are you standing on this, bro? What do you think? Victor Osimhen is still the number 1 target. What are your thoughts on that whole Osimhen situation?
Yeah, he's definitely still the number 1 target, but obviously Chelsea want him on their conditions, so a loan deal potentially with a buy option, but that's not going to happen, I don't think. I'd be very surprised if it does. Chelsea need to find a way to get it into an obligation, in a creative formula or something else, or just pay up the money. But, the wages is an issue. He's probably on 200,000 plus a week. Don't think Chelsea want to pay that. So it's one of those ones where maybe if we don't do anything else on the striker and it's the last week of August, Napoli buy Lukaku, maybe Osimhen's like, you know what, I will join you on loan. I will take a bit of a pay cut because I've got nowhere else and I want to leave. Maybe that's what Chelsea are waiting for. Other than that, though, I feel like if Chelsea don't get Osimhen, then maybe even Tony, maybe I'm trying to think of strikers. I don't know.
I can't really think of anyone else. Like you're looking at an Osimhen, maybe Tony, and then I wonder what other situations they're looking at. I mean,
Evan Ferguson.
Fucking hell. Could you imagine that? We just suddenly decide, do you know what? We're going to go and spend like 100 mil on him. No, I don't think we'll do that. But I mean, yeah, obviously, Osimhen, we want him on our terms, understandably to a degree. You would just think, though, with Napoli so desperate for Lukaku, Osimhen wanting to leave the football club, like, surely it's not that hard to do a deal. I know Napoli want a permanent sale, but you know the valuation is probably too much if we're being realistic about Osimhen. He's probably not a £113 million player, but surely a loan with an obligation can't be that difficult to agree. What sort of obligation price-wise do you think would be fair if we're able to sort this sort of deal? Because it's absolutely, they're not going to be if it ends up being a loan, it's not going to be an option. It will be an obligation for sure. So, Frey, what kind of price do you reckon's fair?
For Osimhen?
With an obligation.
That's the thing. If we do an obligation, he only has 1 year left on his deal when we sign him next summer.
True.
I think.
Yeah. So, no, he's only got 2 years left on his contract. Yeah.
I'd say like 50 mil, probably 50 million, 60 million, something like that, probably around there.
Yeah, I mean, like in terms of the actual deal itself, obviously Lukaku goes one way. If they were somehow linked, would you reckon it would be a Lukaku and cash for Osimhen to come on loan with an obligation the other way? Like, is if that sort of deal does materialize, do you reckon it'll just be Lukaku, or are we going to need to give Lukaku and money?
No, I feel like they'll buy Lukaku separately, and then any Osimhen deal will be kind of linked to it, but I don't think it'll be all in like the same deal. I feel like they'll probably buy Lukaku first because Di Marzio said literally that Napoli's director is in London today. So I feel like they'll buy Lukaku, and then the Osimhen one will wait until like the last week of the window. I don't think it gets done anytime soon. I don't think.
Nah, to be honest, I think right now, I know obviously you can negotiate on more than one thing, but I think Chelsea right now, their main focus is on on selling Conor Gallagher, and I think anything else is kind of like, you know, secondary at this point in time. If we were somehow able to pull off a move for Osimhen, how would you envisage him fitting in? Do you think that's a good signing? I mean, it seems like it's been a signing that has been sort of in the making for a number of years. You may know that Drogba, Mikel, etc., are pushing to try and convince him to join Chelsea and whatnot. It feels like it's been waiting to happen for a while. Do you think it would be a good fit?
Yeah, I do think so, because I think one of the reasons why I was against Sambu really is because I don't think strikers work that well if they don't press under Maresca. And I don't think, from what I've seen from Samu, he wasn't very good at pressing. Stylistically, I think Osimhen, we do need that sort of box striker, with the movement, with the heading ability. I mean, his leap's outrageous. Osimhen's the type of striker that he will command attention from defenders, and he will take attention away from the likes of Palmer, from the likes of Neto, from our other attackers and Kunku. And that's the thing. If we build a team where we've got so many players where you don't know who to keep your attention on, you're looking at probably winning a lot of games because I feel like, last season, all the attention was on Palmer, right? But yeah, not as much as it's going to be this season, right? Imagine this season, players are going to double mark Palmer.
Everyone knows what to expect.
Yeah, but that's the thing now. We've not just got him. We've got Nkunku back. We've got Neto. We might have Felix. We might have Osimhen. So it's like you can't really try and take Palmer out of the game because then you've got 3, 4, 5 others that you have to keep attention on as well. So that's what I do like about this attack squad building, because I do think we're signing, really, really big players and talents. And Osimhen, for me, with the way he presses from the front as well, I can see that suiting Maresca. Obviously, he's not the best on the ball, but I think he's competent. I don't think he's awful. And I can just see him scoring a lot of goals, especially when we play those low blocks. And, plenty of Leicester fans who I've interviewed, season ticket holders, journalists have told me that when Maresca faced the low block last season, what they did do a lot, and what we've actually seen so far, the same thing. A lot of wide play and a lot of crosses in the box. Look at Madueke, for example, when he's been in pre-season, when we've struggled, it's Madueke getting to the touchline, trying to get a ball in. And, sometimes there's not really been that many players to attack there. I think the one that did it really well for one of the goals was Gio, I think, against I
Looks
don't know
good.
when he scored the header, from
Club America, yeah.
yeah. So that was an example of what you can kind of expect from Osimhen, where the ball is out wide and then you're just sort of like anticipating it to come in and you time it right and you get a goal. Whereas I feel like Jackson hasn't really got that, because Jackson's got better all round play, but I don't think he's got the box movement. I don't think he's
No, it
got the
doesn't.
striker instinct yet. Anyway, so I feel like that's why Chelsea want Osimhen, because they want top four and they want someone that can come in and knows exactly what he's doing, albeit a different league. But it's like he's not going to be phased by Premier League defenders. So he's a
No.
bit of a nightmare to defend, with the way he runs and he presses and he's he's strong.
He's a handful. He's like he's the profile of striker that's traditionally done well at Chelsea. In that sort of Drogba kind of Costa mold, that physicality that he's got. I think he would suit us well, but if he comes, bro, and he like, maybe he doesn't score in his first 3 or 4 games, you can just imagine what the conversations that people are going to be suddenly having about him. This is why, like, I think it's always difficult leading the line for Chelsea when you come in as a striker, because like, even if you do well, like even Jackson done well last season, Giza was getting hammered for a lot of the season. And it's like, imagine what it's going to be like with Osimhen if he comes in for big money or whatever, and he doesn't start particularly well. Like, think how many people are gonna be on his back. So yeah, it is going to be a tricky one in terms of other options, bro. Obviously, article today, I think, from Miguel Delaney in the Independent, in regards to Ivan Toney. Chelsea could maybe look to test Brentford's resolve with a loan obligation bid towards the end of the window. It's been very quiet. We were strongly linked with Toney in January. The price was crazy. I think Brentford wanting about 100 million back in January. Prices dropped a lot now. There's been next to no suitors for him at all. Spurs were interested apparently, but they've obviously spent 65 on Solanke. You don't see them getting Solanke and Toney. United, that's gone quiet as well. Arsenal don't look like they're interested. Bro, what do you think? There could be a bit of movement with maybe Chelsea and Toney towards the end of the window. We could try and do something opportunistic.
Maybe, but I've always thought Toney's kind of unlikely for Chelsea because of his age and his wages. I don't think Chelsea would do that, but we are being opportunistic, and perhaps if Brentford lowered the price and Toney asked to go, and again, kind of a sequence of events lead up, maybe he drops his wages a bit, or the thing is, actually, you don't really have to drop your wages and as such. It's just like your base wage, because if players accept those like incentivized, like bonus with contracts of what we're trying to do, then yeah, maybe there's a possibility. But I in some ways, I really don't imagine another striker other than Osimhen, but you never know with Chelsea. Like with this Felix thing, I didn't think he'd ever, at least maybe return. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like Chelsea would like Toney, but he's not really traditionally in what we've gone for. It'd be a bit of a. I think if we sign Toney, that would be a massive shock to me in terms of what we've done so far under Clearlake.
Yeah, I mean, bro, I even think Osimhen, to be honest, is a kind of a un-Clearlake like signing as well. To date of what we've done, I think Toney or Osimhen is kind of, very un-Clearlake. It's not very on brand for what Chelsea have been looking to do. But bro, I've always maintained I think Toney would be a really good fit for us. But I get your point about, age is potentially an issue. I know at 28, age shouldn't be an issue at all, but clearly, with the way Chelsea are going, it is. There isn't the resale value there. But are you surprised that no one's really come in for him? Or do you think teams are maybe doing what we might be doing and waiting till the window gets closer and closer to the end and then doing an opportunistic deal? Because remember, he's got a year left on his contract. Brentford aren't going to want to lose him for nothing. So you feel that like they're going to have to sell him this summer.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised no one came in for him earlier in the summer as well, because, they signed a striker and then he got injured. So
yeah.
everyone, I kind of thought, well, that's probably the Toney replacement, where's he off to type thing. But didn't end up being like that. And I saw someone in the comments say, what am I waffling about? He's on 30k a week, but it's not about what he's on. It's about what he'd want. Like there's been numerous reports asking, saying he'd want like 170 plus wage. He'd want like a massive, massive, massive wage increase. So, yeah, I mean, Toney, though, I think like you said about Osimhen, we won't go for. We wouldn't have gone for Osimhen if the price hadn't dropped or if there wasn't a possibility. We could do something opportunistic. So Chelsea are very like, okay, if we get something on our terms, yeah, we might like that. We might like that. It's probably the same with the Felix thing, right? It's like, okay, maybe, if we can get him, yeah, maybe, we might be able to sneak in there and do something if it's on our terms. And I think why something hasn't happened already is probably because Atletico have got that price more than what we want to pay. So same thing with Tony. If he gets to the end of the window and maybe he's like 40, 45 mil, is happy with 150k a week, then maybe Chelsea do that for a couple of seasons. Because Tony can still be kind of used as a stopgap type striker, to be fair.
Mate, I honestly don't think, bro, if Tony was available towards the end of the window, say 40 million quid, right, and he comes in for 2 or 3 years, does a decent job, I don't think that's a bad deal at all, to be perfectly honest. I mean, let's just like, in theory, bro, if he came in, do you think he'd be a good fit? Would you see him doing well?
It's very hard to guess, actually. I don't know, because
in theory he's got the attributes that you would think would suit Chelsea, and he's the kind of striker that has suited Chelsea in the past. I know obviously we're different now, playing different football and whatnot, but I feel like he knows the league. He's a proven goal scorer in the league. Like, surely, like, how bad could it be?
Yeah, I think it's just the work rate. It's kind of the same with Felix, right? It's like, I don't know if you can all of a sudden put multiple players in the same team that don't like to press. Because let's remember, Maresca specifically said, "I want to high press." So,
mate, Felix is not going to give you that.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you make an exception for Felix or you make an exception for Nkunku, you can't do that for your striker. I feel like your striker needs to be like, you're the one leading from the front. You start the high press, and it's why I think Mark Guiu's been so good, because even though he hasn't got the goals, you can see like how hungry he is to press and win the ball high up. And it's just, I don't know if that suits even Tony. I don't think it does.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, those two are the obvious names. I mean, I can't think of who else we could potentially be looking at. I'm sure there's one or two real random names on there. In terms of Guiu, you touched on him. Obviously, I think him, whether he goes on loan, whether he stays, is going to be very much dependent on which strikers come in. But he's done all right, hasn't he? Like, do you think he should stay regardless of if another striker comes in, or do you think if an Osimhen comes in or if a Tony comes in or whatever, then he probably is going to have to go on loan?
In terms in Guiu?
Yeah, in Guiu, yeah.
Yeah, he'll go on loan. I'm pretty certain of that.
If someone comes in.
Yeah, I think so. What's interesting is I think we've only got like 1 or 2 international loan spots left. So I feel like we might be saving one of those for Guiu, probably in the Spanish league you'd expect. But yeah, I don't see him staying. I do think we'll get a striker in. I think that's been made pretty clear. Even if it's not Osimhen, I feel like the club will sign someone. I don't think they're just happy with Jackson, and Nkunku maybe is an option. Maybe even Felix is an option if we get him. But I feel like they want that striker type thing. They want that actual out and out number 9. Because Jackson kind of is, but he's kind of not. Like I said, he lacks those instincts at the moment. I'll give you an example. Even against the game on Sunday, look at the cutback, and Nkunku like flicked it. I don't know if you see, like, someone cut it back and Nkunku like shot, but it was like a flick, and Jackson didn't anticipate it.
No.
I think Jackson could have slid and maybe tapped it in, but it's those little moments that make the difference in the season. Like the balls across the box that you don't expect to fall to you, the anticipation, that type of thing.
It's that proper striker instinct, isn't it? Like, I think that's what we're lacking.
As good as Jackson is, he doesn't have that yet. So
yeah, no, I agree. Bro, obviously there's, like, in terms of incomings, it's probably going to be Felix and a striker. I don't imagine us getting 2 more strikers now. I think it'll very much be Felix and plus one, or just one striker potentially. Although you never know what Chelsea are going to do. Outgoings is where it's interesting. Like, how concerned are you about how slow the outgoings have been? Because we know we've got a lot of players that we need to move on, a lot of players that we need to sell, but the only real, major sales have been Martin and Hutchinson. Other than that, we've loaned a few youngsters out, but Bro, are you concerned at how slow player sales have been?
Don't have concern. I'm disappointed. I would say I'm disappointed. I do think Chelsea will still sort themselves out. You know, there's two sort of 2 weeks I think to go, maybe even 3 weeks. So I do think we'll trim the squad down a lot. But at the end of the day, the longer we take on incomings, you know, especially this Felix one, like I was expecting this to be, you know, a deal that's done quite quickly. And if we spend another week on this, you know, that's another week gone, and there's a lot of players that we need to get out. So yeah, maybe I'm a little bit concerned, but I do have faith still that we'll end up with, you know, a decent squad size. And if we don't, then we might as well write off the season, in my opinion, because I think it'll be another Graham Potter situation where he has too many players and it just won't work out.
Yeah, no, bro, I hear you. There's a lot to go. Like the likes of Chalobah. I mean, I'd keep Chalobah, obviously, but, you know, Chalobah, Broja, Lukaku, Kepa, maybe Carney. I mean, bro, let's touch on the likes of Carney and Chilwell. I know me and you and a lot of Chelsea fans like Carney, got quality. He's a talented boy. Not been able to keep himself fit. I think I've seen he's made 27 appearances over the 2 seasons since he's been here. He started the first 2 games of pre-season. Hasn't been seen since. Rumours of maybe Crystal Palace looking to go for him. As much of a shame as it is, bro, do you feel kind of it's game over for Carney here?
Most likely, yeah. Yeah, most likely. I feel like he will go, especially if Gallagher somehow stays. Then I feel like he's definitely gone. But yeah, I think it's harsh on him. I really do rate him. I know there's a lot of players in front of him, but I still think he can get decent minutes. At the end of the day, we'll have to look at what the proposals are that come in, if any do come in. But
he's got a release clause, hasn't he? Like, didn't Fabrizio report that earlier this summer? Was it like 40 mil or something?
40 million. And at the time, Chelsea were like, yeah, it's either that or he doesn't go. And I was like, okay, right, well, you know, fair play sort of thing, I guess. Even though I don't like it, I think he can be worth more than that in the future. But at the end of the day, I do feel like Chelsea might just take like a 25, 30 mil bid and sell him, which will be really disappointing in my opinion. I know he's got injury issues, but I think it's incredibly harsh as well what I'm seeing some of our fans do in terms of judging him just off pre-season. Like, he's a 20-year-old. He had 2 bad games. Like, so what? You know, like
they weren't even that bad. They weren't horrendous.
It's just like I don't really understand why some of our fans, like, they make exceptions for other players and then they're like, yeah, you're not good enough for others. It doesn't really make any sense, but.
No, bro, I hear you. I mean, why do you think Maresca's not used him since the Celtic game, the second game of pre-season? Why do you think he's been overlooked? Do you think like he's literally seen in the 90 minutes he played against Wrexham and the 45 that he played against Celtic? Do you think that was enough for him to see that actually this guy's not it for me? Like, what do we reckon's going on there? Like, why do you reckon he's just not used him?
I think probably because he's up for sale, most likely. You know, if he plays and he gets injured, Chelsea can't sell him. So maybe they're doing that sort of protection thing. That's probably what I would guess. Yeah, I'd probably say he's up for sale. I don't think Maresca would have judged any player on 2 games, to be honest. I think Maresca would have had pre-judgment of some players like Chilwell. And then he's kind of like used pre-season. Okay, yeah, he definitely can't play there. Yeah, he definitely can't do that. Like, yeah, my pre-judgment was correct. And in that case, then, yeah, maybe he is judging him off pre-season. But I'm sorry, I can't see it. Especially, like, let's just say, like, Carney against his own old team, Leicester. Like, he was cooking them, you know? So he scored the goal. So, and he was doing really well. So I can't see Maresca looking at Carney and be like, yeah, he sucks. You know, I feel like it's more of a club thing, to be honest. He's probably on the sell.
Do you think we'd accept a loan for him? Do you reckon we'd loan him out? I mean, obviously, internationally, probably not going to happen. I don't know where he'd go domestically on loan, but do you think we'd accept a loan offer for him?
With obligation, yeah, I doubt with. I don't think we'd loan him. Just, I don't think so. Like a dry loan or something. I wouldn't see the point in that. I don't think Chelsea would do that. I think they'd rather keep the option in the squad.
Yeah, I mean, look, if he ends up staying, you know, you'd expect him to play in the Conference League or something. I don't know, but it's clear that, you know, in that number 8 position that he'd ideally want to be playing in, there's so much competition there. And then when you couple it in with the fact that, Nkunku and Palmer could also be deployed there as well, it does just push him further and further down. And it just kind of make it seem like, do you know what? There's just not going to be the opportunities and the minutes there for him. And it's not like he can even keep himself fit either to kind of be ready to step in case players get injured. So it's definitely one to watch, and it'll be interesting to see kind of how that unfolds towards the end of the window and what sort of teams might realistically be interested in him. But you touched on someone else then, bro, Ben Chilwell. Obviously one of the more experienced members of the squad. He's got 3 years left on this deal. He's a high earner. He's been great for us in the past. The injuries have taken their toll. He's not been able to find his form of from before those injuries. And it's very clear that he's also surplus to requirements, but I get the feeling there's not going to be a huge market for him, and we're going to struggle to potentially move him on. I mean, where do you stand on the Chilwell stuff?
Get him gone. I think, I don't think he's very good anymore. I think I'd definitely get him gone. He doesn't fit in the squad. He can't invert into midfield. He's not
surprised he's not tried, though. You're surprised he's not given him an opportunity?
No, because he can't do it. He's not got the technical ability. Like he doesn't need to go. Like honestly, it's one of those things where I think it would just be like, what's the point? Like he hasn't got the technical ability, the brain to do it. You need to have a really good footballing brain as well to be inverted in midfield. That's why Gusto works so well, because not only is Gusto technical, he's got an exceptional football brain. He can dribble out of tight spaces. He doesn't take any heavy touches. So yeah, Chilwell is just a complete misfit in this squad. He doesn't suit the squad at all. Hopefully he's looking at his options, because I genuinely think if he stays,
well, if he's not going to play,
he's not going to play. I don't even think he'll make some match day squads. I
genuinely don't. For sure.
So I mean, what's the point in staying? He's got to go somewhere.
Do you think he's? I mean, I know there's a report today from TalkSport suggesting that he might be considering his options. Do you think he's kind of come to the realization now that actually he probably does need to leave, or do you think he might hang around for another year? I mean, the wages are big. The valuation. I don't know. How much do you reckon Chelsea would even ask for him? Like, what's even a fair price?
Honestly, I have no idea what Chelsea would ask for him. There's been no reports, and
I mean, do you think maybe 30 million, 25, 30 million? Is that fair? I don't know.
Probably, but I can't see anyone playing that. Like, no, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be a problem. It is going to be a problem. Like, I've liked him, and I think what he's offered us in the past has been really good. But as you say, there's no space for him now. Renato Vega was chosen ahead of him against that Inter game to replace Cucurella at halftime. Yeah, I just think the writing's on the wall for Chile, but how we get rid of him, I don't know. And as you say, if he stays, bro, then he's not going to be making he's not going to make an awful lot of the match day squads. Just on Vega briefly, do you think the fact that he come on at halftime ahead of Chile, do you reckon that means that Vega's going to stay and he's going to be that second choice left back, and maybe Gusto can fill in there if necessary?
I'm not sure. I was quite surprised that Vega came on, to be fair. But yeah, I do feel like he will stay, actually, because I just don't think we've got the international loan spots. First of all, we've got players that need to go out on international loan spot. And I don't know if I can see him going Premier League straight away or something. So yeah, I would say so. I'd say he stays. And again, it's another reason why I think Chilwell has to go, because he's literally going to be behind like a 20-year-old, or however old Vega is. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I just wanted to get your thoughts on Madueke as well, bro. There's been reports, rumours suggesting that, Newcastle are interested. Whilst Chelsea aren't actively looking to sell, they might be prepared to listen to any offers that come in. What are your thoughts on Madueke? And I didn't get the feeling that he wants to leave Chelsea. But what would a potential Felix arrival mean for him as well? Like, where are you standing on kind of the situation surrounding Noni right now?
I would keep Madueke personally. I think he's really good for this system. I think he's a great rotation player. Also, I think he's good enough to start. I think his end product needs work, but I think his dribbling, take-ons, his enthusiasm to get to the byline and create an attack is something that I think is needed in our squad. So I would keep Madueke. If we get like a £50 million plus bid, then I'd consider it. But I wouldn't sell him. I wouldn't sell him, especially not to Newcastle for probably what we would sell him for. Like if we get a £40 million bid, Chelsea's probably selling him, and I don't see the point because Newcastle's going to be in our,
That's what we're competing with.
Yeah. So like, why would you? I just don't get the Madueke one personally. I don't think you should sell him.
Bro, do you think he'll? I think he'll start. I think he'll start the season as the right wing. Certainly for the first few games. Like whilst Neto maybe gets up to speed, or Neto could play either side, doesn't really matter. I think he's done well, and I don't get why a lot of people don't seem to like Madueke. I think he's great one-on-one. I've definitely noticed in pre-season as well. His first thought now is to always go forward. Like he's not not looking to play the ball backwards. He's direct. He takes players on. He's forward thinking. He's kind of one of those old school wingers that definitely suits kind of the Maresca system. And I just don't get from a Chelsea perspective why you would even entertain selling him. And you'd have to say, on the evidence of pre-season, you'd probably, I know Neto's just come now, but you'd say, like, obviously Neto aside, he's probably the best winger at the club.
Yeah, no, definitely. Mudryk is a lost case for me, and Sterling is Sterling. So yeah, I would definitely agree with that for sure.
Yeah, no, I think he's done really well. Where just on Neto briefly, bro, where do you see him fitting in? Obviously, I doubt he's going to start against City. He'll probably make his debut, you'd imagine, from the bench. But like that's a really good signing. I mean, just briefly on him, bro, how surprised were you when that news broke? Because I couldn't believe it when I saw it. I was like, nah, that must be a mistake. That can't be us. There must be some Pedro Neto in the Portuguese like under 18 somewhere, and that's him. But yeah, bro, what are your thoughts on that? And where do you see him fitting in? Because this is a signing that has made a lot of people happy. He's Premier League proven. He's got that quality. And yeah, it almost just appeared out of nowhere. How excited are you by that? And like, obviously, once he gets up and running, he's definitely a starter, isn't he?
Yeah, man, I really, really hope Neto can stay fit because he'll be a game changer for us. He really will. He's a top player. Really, really good player. Great dribbler. I think, his end product I actually think his end product's good, which is why I'm surprised that he has got, such least goals and assists. But for me, he can strike the ball well. He got 9 assists for Wolves last season in the league and very limited minutes because of
I think he played 20 games. So
yeah,
one assist every couple of games. It's not
very
bad.
Impressive. So he's going to help us. He's going to help us create. And again, it's more the reason for me to get that Osimhen transfer over the line because we're going to have so much attacking chances that we need that guy to finish them off consistently. And I think that's Osimhen for us. But I'm very excited about Pedro Neto. He's quick. He's strong as well. Very strong for his size. And he's one of those players as well that even though he was at Wolves, he always seemed to turn up against the top 6 clubs.
He tore us apart. I don't know if you were you at the game at Stamford Bridge last season when we lost 4-2. He ruined us.
Thankfully, I missed that one.
Yeah, bro, he ruined us in that game.
Yeah, he's done it to Man U before. Yeah, he's done it to Liverpool
as well.
So, yeah.
Where do you see him playing though? Because obviously he can play both sides. I mean, I guess he'll play anywhere. But do you think Chelsea predominantly bought him in as a left wing option, right wing option, or just someone to cover both, basically?
No, he can cover both. But I think if he's fit, he's going to start on the left for sure. I think that's where I see him. Probably on the left, especially with the brief that a couple of journalists like Fabrizio said we were looking for that wide left type forward all summer. So yeah, but again, it adds on unpredictability. It's I think a lot of the reporting has been Chelsea looking for these Swiss Army knife players. So
they like multiple positions, just whatever.
Yeah, Same I guess with Nkunku. Felix, I guess, fits into that. Maybe that's one of the attractions of him. So, yeah, it's exciting times in the attack for sure. It's exciting times.
Yeah, I mean, just before we round out, bro, how are you feeling about the season in general? Obviously, the preseason's been mixed. The results haven't been great, but ultimately, it's not about that. look, going forward, we've looked good. We create a lot of chances. Yeah, we still lack that cutting edge and that clinical person to put the ball in the back of the net. But going forward, we look good. I thought the balance in midfield is looking a little bit better. I still worry about us defensively. What are your thoughts on the team at the moment as we get ready to play City in a few days' time?
Sorry, in terms of the balance?
Yeah, no, just in terms of how you're feeling about the team in general. Like, what are your thoughts about us heading into the season? Because for me, attacking wise, I don't worry about us too much. Yeah, we need that striker, but I think we create plenty of chances. I don't see that being an issue. Midfield looks better balanced. For me, the big concerns are the defence.
Yeah, no, it's transitions for me that we struggle with, and it's something Leicester struggle with a bit as well. And I personally still think we either need to keep Chalobah or we need to buy a fast defender as well in the back line. Like,
Isn't Fofana going to be that guy though?
I don't know, man. I don't know if he's still got it after the ACL. To be honest, after all those injuries, I'm not sure. There's question marks for me on Fofana. Whether he can consistently stay fit and be that guy for us that we bought him for so much money for a few years ago. But yeah, I do think transitions we're vulnerable, but on the ball we're good. I feel like we'll dominate a lot of games, like in terms of possession, and we will create chances. It's just I'm hoping against, like those lower teams that will sit back. We won't just sort of have games where, yeah, we create 5 or 6 chances, but we don't score them. They're not like actual, like unbelievable chances. And Maresca just doesn't come out after the game and is like, yeah, well, we created 5 or 6 chances, we didn't score. And it's just like, that's kind of like the story of our season. I hope that's not the case. But look, I mean, with the quality in our attack, we should score plenty of goals, in my opinion. It's just, can we get that consistency? I do feel like the style of play, though, is better than like a Pochettino style of play for consistency. I feel like if we really hit the ground running on some form, it's one of those systems and philosophies where I feel like the players get a lot of confidence. You almost feel like you're in control, you're dominating the game. You're going to wherever you're playing this weekend, an away game, maybe a tough away ground, but you've got that philosophy behind you that no matter where you go, you're going to go and dominate the ball. And the movement off the ball is a lot better. And basically, when it clicks, I feel like it'll be really good. It's just how long does it take to click? And there's still question marks off the ball. And some of our defenders, I think, injury-wise, it's one of those where it's quite unpredictable, but I'm more positive than I was for last season, I think.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that. I think, I've just got a lot of unknowns, really. I don't really know what to expect. And I don't think we're going to really be able to judge or have any idea of how we might do until we probably get maybe 5 or 6 games into the season before we can get like an early indication of, how we're stacking up, what we're looking like. But I mean, I thought I had an idea of what the first choice, defensive pairing might be. I think we know that Cucurella and Malo Gusto are going to be starting in the fullback areas. We know Sanchez will start in goal. I'll be honest, bro. None of the centre-backs have made a convincing case, in my opinion, in pre-season to suggest that they should be starting. What do you think Maresca thinks the first choice pairing is? Because I'll be honest, I think he probably thinks it's Colwill and Fofana because that's what started against Inter, and I would expect that back four to start again. But, bro, what do you think Chelsea's strongest pairing is? Because, as I said, no one's really made a convincing case that they should be starting.
Yeah, I think it will be, as you said, Fofana and Colwill. I do think that'll be the case. I think Gusto will play that sort of right centre-back role on the ball, but right back off the ball. And then I think Cucurella will play, left back off the ball, probably. Yeah.
But I mean, what do you reckon of that Colwill-Fofana partnership? I know Badiashiel's not been great. Desassi's not played at all in the pre-season. Tosin has looked okay. Do you think that's the partnership going forward for us this season? I know things can maybe change, but I guess that's what Maresca's going to run with. Like, do you feel happy with a Fofana-Colwill partnership? Is that what you would have picked maybe before pre-season had started?
I think so, yeah. I think those are the two defenders that, probably on paper are our best defenders. But again, like, it's one of those things where I don't know how long it's going to take to find a consistent centre-back partnership. We struggled with that last season, to be fair.
Yeah.
We was constantly changing things. And it's one of those. We've bought in Tosin, but I don't know how much he's going to play. And Disasi's there. Badia's Shill's still there. So it's hard. It's hard, but I do think on paper those are the two that I'd want to play, and I'd want to try and build a defence around as Fofana and Colwill for sure. I think they complement each other well, to be fair, as well. I think they complement each other quite well.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I would have gone with that. Just lastly, in terms of the goalkeeper, bro. Obviously we know Sanchez is going to start as a number one. I'm surprised we didn't see more of I'm surprised we didn't see Jorgensen at all against Inter on the weekend. How long do you think it's going to be until Jorgensen comes in? Because I'll be real, we're probably going to have to wait until the the Carabao Cup, aren't we? Really, before he maybe he plays in the Conference League next week. But yeah, how long do you think it will be till Jorgensen sort of comes in and makes him the number one? Do you think Maresca wants him to be the number one, but we're just kind of biding our time with it a little bit?
Sorry, bro, I didn't get that. What did you say?
Do you think, how long do you reckon it's going to be until Jorgensen becomes number one? Do you think, it's just a bit soon to chuck him straight in? Do you think the plan with him coming in was for him to be the number one, but they just got to gradually phase Sanchez out? I mean, where you stand on that goalkeeper situation?
Yeah, I actually do think Jorgensen will end up being the number one at some point.
Well, this season?
Yeah, this season.
Yeah.
I do think so. I think that is the plan. I think they would have sold Sanchez actually if they could, but again, no market for him. So
I took so much stick for that, like on multiple shows, saying that the only reason that Sanchez is staying is because there's no market for him. Like
you're right, you are right, bro. You're right.
There's not. I promise you now, right? If someone would have paid 20 or 25 million for Sanchez, he would have been gone. He would have been gone, pure and simple. But yeah, I mean, what? I mean, it's quite hard to judge Jorgensen. You got any initial thoughts on him?
First game I didn't really like, to be fair. I think he parries shots too much. He's young, he's indecisive coming out, I think. And to be honest, I did a lot of shows on my playback channel about Jorgensen. Alex Goldberg did as well. They had a lot of experts on the Liga watchers, that type of thing. And they all kind of said the same thing. Jorgensen actually needs to play a lot to progress. And I don't know if he's going to get that at Chelsea initially. He's kind of a confidence player. So, he's iffy on crosses. Basically, I didn't really like what I heard. So I hope he can improve. But one of the main things is he's really good on the ball. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm going to be interested to see kind of how that pans out with him. I mean, just on Petrovic, bro, he's obviously he's done. How do you feel about that in terms of, coming last season, we paid 14 mil for him. He actually done really well. Yeah, he doesn't really suit the Maresca style of play necessarily, but do you think he's basically a victim of having done well last season, therefore there's a market for him, that's why he's going? Because I think he's easily good enough to be a number two here. How do you feel about how that whole situation's unfolded?
I think Petrovic is a victim of not getting rid of Sanchez and us wanting an elite ball-playing goalkeeper, which, we're supposedly got with Jorgensen. And yeah, maybe it's just seen as a profit flip. By the end of the day, we've had no offers. So I don't know who's going to buy Petrovic. I mean, there's even talk, and I find this ridiculous. There's even talk that he might go to Strasbourg, which is crazy.
Yeah, a loan to Strasbourg. That's why we're keeping
By the way,
that.
Charlie, sorry, bro. I've just sent some. Yeah, go on. I was just sent some news as well. Just going to tell you.
Yeah, bro, you go.
Yeah, no, I was just saying. Matt Laws said that Chelsea want to extend Jackson's contract as well. If you wanted to get that up.
Yeah, bro, let's get that up. I mean, what just quickly, mate? Like, what do you think of these contract extensions? Obviously, Palmer is well deserved, but how do you feel about players being on Palmer's tied down for 9 years now? Like Jackson only joined last summer, already looking at a contract or a new contract or whatever. How do you feel about that? Like, do you think it's bad to have players on for sort of 8-9 years? What are you thinking of it? Because I don't really know what the point of it is. I get it. You maybe you protect the value or whatever, but 8 or 9 years does seem like a long time.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. The one thing I really, really hope isn't the case is that when they give these new contracts, they haven't got hidden release clauses in them.
Bro, I'll be real, mate. If you're signing a contract of that length, there must be there must be exit clauses in there somewhere. There has to be.
Yeah, like imagine Palmer's new deal has got like 150 million release clause or something in it, you know, or Jackson's got a 70, 80 million release clause if he signs this, you know, like
Yeah,
it's like, that worries me, bro. It worries me.
But do you not think there must be something like that? If you're going to sign something that long, do you not think there's got to be like a get out clause or an exit clause at some point? Because these guys are 22. Are you telling me that Palmer's going to be here until he's 31 years of age without leaving the football club? Like there must be get out clauses. There simply has to be, or there might be some secret release clauses or whatever. But
yeah,
I find it very strange if these players that are young, you don't know what the future's got in store, are going to sign that length of contract with literally zero get out option. Like,
yeah, it does worry me. Or what I'm hoping is maybe it's more like the understanding that, okay, like if you wanted to leave, you know, if you asked Chelsea to leave, then we'll listen to offers. Okay, like if Chelsea have said to their representatives, like, okay, Jackson, if you're not happy here, you know, we know you've got a long ass contract, but you know, we'll listen to offers. If you come and tell us, yeah, we will do that, but help us out and sign a long term deal. You know, like that's what I would expect. But look, I mean, Carney had one in and no one knew. You know, I wonder if other players have them in. I wonder if Enzo and Casado have them in. You know, as well.
Bro, I reckon like that's not that Carney thing can't be a one-off. I reckon a number of those deals have got hidden release clauses in there. Like there simply has to be, because surely like it's in Chelsea's best interests, not their best interests, but you know, that maybe guarantees you making a profit on players and whatnot. So yeah, and maybe it just gives a player a way out if they want to leave as well. So yeah, I mean, look, in theory, these sound great. You know, these sound great. But I just worry about what it might do for a player's motivation. Then they've got a 9-year deal.
Yeah. One thing I will say though is, from what I understand, speaking to a few people about these, is that, so for example, Palmer's got a new contract now, and I know it's like, so he's got a pay rise, but like say he stays, basically I think the more years you stay, the more the money goes up, rather than being rewarded for performances. I think the first one you get rewarded for performance. So like, okay, what's Jackson got now, for example? What is, I don't know how long he signed for, but
I mean, he must have signed a 6-year,
yeah,
or 6 or 7.
Say he stays until 2030 or whatever. Just for example, I know it's going to be longer than that, but if he signs to 2032, he'll get a pay rise now, but like 2025, 2026, 2027, each year you go up a little bit, a little chunk, a little chunk, a little chunk. So the more years you stay, the more money you earn, basically.
So you're incentivized to stay at the club because your money's going to go up each year you remain there. Like I think it's a good idea. It's like, in theory, it sounds great and whatnot. I'm just not sure about the reality of it. I mean, look, what's he on at the moment, Jackson, money wise? It can't be more than sort of 60 or 70 grand, can it? So he probably does deserve a pay rise, but yeah, it's going to be interesting. I wonder what other ones are going to be rewarded for their good form last season. I mean, do you reckon they could be looking at doing the same with Malo Gusto, for example?
Oh, bro, Gusto deserves it. I think Gusto's on like 45 grand. That's crazy, bro. Like, he's one of the least earners. You know,
yeah, but you'd expect that. They've done, obviously, Palmer was a no-brainer, but Jackson potentially being rewarded. You'd think that if they're doing this right now for people from last season, potentially, you'd think that Gusto must be in line.
100%.
He has to be.
100%. Like Gusto, especially with Gusto, the fact that, look, I know Reece James is injury prone, but mate, there's nothing stopping Real Madrid or another top club going to Gusto, you know, next summer or in 2 years and saying, look, you know, Reece James is still there. That even when Reece James is injured, they still trust him over you, you know, when he's back. So why not come and join us? You'll be our absolute guaranteed starter. And, you know, mate, honestly, Gusto's one of my favourite players. I think he's so bloody good. Do you
know what's mad, right? He actually looks equally as good on both sides. That's really rare. But Yeah, let me just check if anything last minute's come through, and then we will round this one out. Let's have a chat. Don't think there's anything else to go over. I think we've pretty much covered everything that's going on at the moment. So yeah, we'll round this one out, brother. Mate, thanks so much for your time. Greatly appreciated. Good to catch up again. If for whatever reason, people have got no idea where you're at, let them know.
Yeah, so I stream on playback.tv, which is another streaming platform, and we host audio sessions over there, live streams, talk about Chelsea. So that's playback.tv/Chelsea Central. I do that with Con CFC, if anyone knows him on Twitter. So yeah, and just usual Twitter is at CFC Pys, and yeah, that's pretty much it, bro. Cheers.
Nah, perfect. Guys, make sure you check all that stuff out. Some great content over there as always. People, make sure you smash up the likes, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Road to 12k now. Every new subscriber helps, so make sure you are hitting that subscribe button. Guys, run this up to 200 likes on the way out as well. We're on 165, so please smash the like button on the way out. Should be an easy 35 likes. Get this up to 200. Guys, I'll be back again tomorrow with another live show. Let's see what the next 24 hours has got in store for us. There's bound to be some news soon on developments with the Joao Felix situation. So yeah, Pys, thanks for your time as always, bro. Big up to the chat for everyone getting involved. Smash the like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll catch you again tomorrow, guys.